The moment Nathan Parker looked into her eyes, his world tilted in a way he couldn't explain. He had walked into that cozy little cafe in downtown Seattle, Washington, expecting nothing more than an awkward hour, polite smiles, and a quick excuse to leave. Blind dates were never more than formalities for him, something his co-workers set up out of pity for a man they thought had buried himself in work. But everything shifted when the woman sitting across from him leaned forward, her voice soft but steady, and said the words that cracked something deep inside him. "You don't remember me, do you?" His heart stuttered, his breath tightened, and suddenly the warm hum of the cafe felt like a distant echo. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of forgotten connections, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who believes in hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that touch the soul. Her name was Grace Miller, and she carried herself with a quiet strength that didn't demand attention but naturally drew it. Nathan searched her face, panicked by the strange familiarity he couldn't place. Her eyes weren't accusing or bitter, they were heavy, like they carried years of memories he had somehow misplaced. Outside, rain streaked the windows, blurring the city lights and wrapping the world in slow-moving silver lines. Inside, the air smelled like roasted coffee and cinnamon, but all Nathan could feel was the weight of something he couldn't remember. Grace told him, gently and without anger, that they had once known each other long ago in a way that mattered more than he could imagine. Years ago, when Nathan was 19, he had been a different man entirely. Back then, he was reckless but kind, a college student in Oregon who volunteered at a small community center run by a struggling church. He remembered the building faintly now, old wooden floors that creaked, peeling white paint, and windows that never quite closed right. What he didn't remember, and what hurt the most, was the girl who used to sit in the corner art room sketching quietly, barely speaking, and trying to disappear. Grace had been 16 then, abandoned by a mother lost to addiction and a father who never came back from a trucking job. The center had been her only safe place, and Nathan, without realizing the weight of his actions, had become her safety without meaning to. He had been the one who brought her extra sandwiches when the food ran out. He was the one who stayed late to help her clean brushes and paint trays while she told him about dreams she never believed in herself. Head made promises in the careless way young people do, promises that felt like forever in the moment but were forgotten when life changed. Then, one brutal winter, everything in Nathan's life collapsed. His mother's sudden stroke, the crushing medical bills, and the emergency move to another state wiped that chapter from his heart. He never went back. He never looked back. He had no idea that in disappearing, he had left someone completely alone again. In the present, Grace's hands trembled slightly as she wrapped them around her coffee mug. She told him without anger, only truth, that she had looked for him once. She had gone back to the community center after he vanished. It had been boarded up, closed down after funding was cut. She sat on its broken steps for hours, waiting for a man who was never coming, holding on to stories and promises that were already gone. Life had not been gentle with her. Foster homes, loneliness, and a long battle with believing she mattered. Yet somehow, she survived. Not just survived, but became someone strong enough to sit across from the man who unintentionally shattered part of her life. Nathan felt something unfamiliar to him then. Shame that wasn't loud, but heavy and slow, pressing down on him from the inside. He tried to explain he had no memory of leaving by choice, no memory of forgetting her. Trauma had pulled a fog over that time in his life. A fog he never questioned because he was too busy becoming the successful architect everyone admired. Head built glass towers and elegant buildings, but never repaired the broken memory he carried inside. Grace listened, really listened, and something about that hurt more than anger ever could. As the rain outside softened into a mist, the space between them changed. What started as awkward distance turned into careful understanding. Grace explained why she had agreed to the blind date in the first place. A coworker had shown her Nathan's picture from a professional networking page, and she felt her breath leave her chest. The boy who brought her sandwiches had become a man she barely recognized, but her heart had recognized him instantly. She didn't come for revenge, she came for closure. A quiet ending to a story that haunted her nights for years. Nathan asked, with no pride left in him, what he could do. He knew he couldn't rewrite the past. He couldn't go back and sit on those community center steps or keep the promises he made, but he could stand in the truth now. Grace told him she didn't need apologies. She needed to know that the kindness he showed her back then was real, that she hadn't imagined it just to survive. And in that moment, Nathan understood what kind of man he wanted to be going forward. Not the man who forgot, but the one who remembered the importance of presence, of staying when it was inconvenient. Their second meeting wasn't called a date. It was just two people walking through a quiet park as autumn leaves spun around their feet. They talked about everything they lost and everything they found. Grace had become a social worker, helping kids who reminded her of herself, small, quiet, and scared. Nathan started volunteering again, this time not as a boy trying to feel useful, but as a man who understood what it meant to show up. He began funding small community centers across struggling neighborhoods, not for recognition, but because it was the language of apology his heart understood best. Weeks turned into months, and something gentle grew between them. It wasn't the rushed, dramatic kind of love. It was slow, steady, built on honesty and pain and healing. They didn't try to fix each other. They simply stood beside one another while the broken parts softened. Nathan stopped seeing the world only in terms of deadlines and profit margins. He started noticing small things again, the way light moved through trees, the sound of laughter, the quiet courage it took to face your past without running. One evening, as they stood on a bridge overlooking a calm river, Grace told him that forgiving him wasn't something she did for him, but for herself. Holding on to hurt had almost destroyed her faith in people. Letting go didn't erase the scars, but it stopped them from bleeding. Nathan felt tears he didn't try to hide. He realized that sometimes love isn't about grand gestures, but about being trusted with someone's pain. Before this story ends, if this journey of forgotten memories, quiet forgiveness, and second chances is touching your heart right now, please take a second to comment on this video and let us know how it made you feel. Your words matter more than you think. On a clear spring afternoon, a year after that first blind date, Nathan and Grace sat in the same cafe where it all began. This time, there was no fog, no confusion, no forgotten faces. Just two people who had walked through their own storms and found each other on the other side. They weren't perfect. They didn't pretend to be. But they were real, and that was enough. If this story moved you in any way, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in healing, and subscribe to the channel to help us spread stories that remind us love is still alive in this world. Nathan learned something that day that no success, no building, and no achievement could ever teach him. People are not chapters you can close and forget. They are stories that live inside you, quietly shaping who you become. And Grace learned that even the deepest wounds can bloom into something beautiful when met with honesty and time. In the end, their love wasn't built on perfection, but on forgiveness, on choosing to stay, and on believing that even forgotten hearts can find their way back home.